Three girls reject a boy as a prom date and are amazed to see whom he chooses instead. Prom night was approaching, and everyone wanted to find a date. Richard, who was new to the school, knew how tough it could be. He had moved to the town during the school year, making it difficult for him to make friends. Being shy, he became a target for troublemakers who rejected him from their group. In preparation for the prom, Richard planned to ask three girls as backup dates, hoping that one of them would agree. These three girls were nice to him, not because they wanted to date him, but because they felt sorry for him and wanted to make him feel better. Richard's plans, unfortunately, did not go as planned. Millie, who was popular and self-conscious about her social standing, rejected his prom invitation and caused a scene in front of their classmates. Despite his disappointment, Richard didn't give up. Millie's friends praised her, but she felt bad about her rude behavior, realizing she had made a mistake. Richard then asked the other two girls on his list. Samantha, who was popular, claimed she already had a date, although Richard suspected it was just an excuse. Amber, on the other hand, was straightforward with him, stating that she didn't think he was a nice person. Richard appreciated her honesty and felt somewhat relieved. After receiving multiple rejections, Richard returned home feeling defeated. He was too late to find a prom date. The news of his attempts quickly spread throughout the school, sparking gossip and speculation. As he walked through the halls, many of his classmates began to stare and point at him. Some students admired Richard's bravery, while others saw it as an opportunity to further trouble him. Richard felt proud and connected with new friends. However, the troublemakers took advantage of the situation. Despite this, Richard remained confident. They had planned to torment Richard the next day, but he didn't show up to class. His absence confused both his classmates and teachers because he rarely missed a day. The three girls who rejected him felt bad afterward. They tried to contact him but got no response. They felt guilty and didn't know how to talk to him or where he lived. However, some people who supported him were worried and tried to find ways to locate him. They searched for technology forums, thinking Richard might be active there because he was interested in technology. Shirley took the lead in the search and found something on one of the forums. She read about a guy who was rejected for his prom and felt heartbroken and embarrassed because everyone knew. This was similar to Richard's situation. Shirley used a fake name to reply to the message and confirm if it was Richard. They talked more than she expected and enjoyed the conversation. Though she struggled with lying to the person, she didn't want it to end. She didn't care if it was Richard or not, she just wanted to meet this person who seemed perfect for her. She invited him to meet her. She waited anxiously for a response, which came after a few hours. Luckily, he agreed. Shirley was hopeful that it might be Richard. On the day of the meeting, Shirley waited at the park, feeling nervous. She wondered if the person would be Richard and if he would be upset about her using a fake name. Despite patiently waiting, he didn't show up, leaving her disappointed. She reluctantly left the park after 2 hours of waiting, feeling let down. Later, she received a text message from him, confessing that he knew her true identity and didn't want to return to school. This message astonished and worried Shirley, leading her to consider seeking assistance. As a result of the investigation's confidentiality, Shirley was unable to participate. The police tirelessly searched for Richard, leaving no trace unexamined. Despite their efforts, the police eventually gave up, realizing Richard wasn't in immediate peril and had to focus on other cases. Shirley was relieved that Richard was okay but still hoped for further contact. Suddenly, Richard texted her, apologizing for the missed meeting. His message intrigued Shirley. He mentioned meeting soon and having a conversation. Shirley felt nervous throughout the week, torn between her feelings and the fact that she already had a prom date. She didn't want to upset Richard again. Except for Shirley, everyone was smiling and having a good time on prom night, seemingly forgetting about Richard. She couldn't shake him from her mind. Someone then drew her attention. She assumed it was Richard, but it was someone who resembled him. Shirley was once again disappointed. She hoped to see Richard, but during the evening, all of a sudden, there was one last car. It was a stunning space car, and most importantly, Richard stepped out. But he wasn't alone. When Shirley saw who he brought, she was stunned. Richard brought his grandmother to the party. He wanted to show that spreading love instead of hate by the troublemakers is a way more powerful message. Everyone had nothing but respect for Richard and his grandmother. Everyone had a great time, and Shirley believed Richard had finally returned. They even talked to each other, which resulted in a wonderful outcome. Richard and Shirley discussed the situation, with Richard apologizing for his absence and Shirley accepting his apologies. Shirley agreed to dance after he asked her. They confirmed their relationship weeks later, after a few dates. They wanted to be together for as long as possible. They simply adored one another. Richard was not only in love, but he also became one of the most popular guys at school as a result of his thoughtful gesture.